Hey guys, what's up? It's Schla coming back to ya with another episode of Car Rides with Schla. And I think today was another alright day. I'm trying to kind of practice and learn to be calmer and a bit more independent. It's been kind of a mess for a while, and that's kind of where my intentions are, just trying to focus more on myself. Like, I guess I kind of had that inclination a little bit, but I didn't really end up following through with it too much. So, here we are now, obviously. Like, I feel like after everything I've gone through, that's where I'm trying to situate myself, but who knows really, what's going to go down or anything like that. I'm just going to take things one day at a time. That's my idea as of now, you know? So, just doing what I can. Just doing what I can. But I need to find that. Like, I need to try to find some kind of peace and some way to channel my energy into my own stuff. And I think it's possible I finally reached that point, you know, where there's certain people where, you know, if it's going to be arguing, if it's going to be lack of reciprocation, I can't keep putting in the effort. Like, it's just not, it's not worth it for me. So things may end up changing soon enough, but I have to practice not worrying about things and trying to just go through life, because that's something that's pretty difficult for me. I typically like to anticipate if something bad is going to happen. I like to know and I like to have an idea. So, but it ends up making things not so great because then I end up worrying a lot. And in some cases, it's like worrying about things that won't happen. I almost feel like in my head, I try to make sure I'm aware of every bad outcome so that if it happens, I'm not going to be as upset because I was aware of it. I think that's just kind of like a rough example of, an explanation. So, yeah, I think that pretty much adds up, you know? Pretty much adds up. So yeah, I don't know. I don't think there's too much. No, I'm not going to say that. I wanted to stop. Wanted to stop saying that. But yeah, I mean, I just think I have to be able to let go with things, and I can't keep like fighting to make something work that isn't. It's if it's just not, you know. Wow, that was really dangerous. I can't believe that person could have just like hit me. I don't know what that was about. Kind of weird, but whatever. Yeah, just trying, because really, what's kind of weird, and I've obviously been familiar with the law of attraction, but like I've worried a lot. I've honestly channeled like a lot of negative energy to my life, and I don't know. I still think things have worked out like relatively well. And so I'm not really sure what that's meaning of. I mean, does that mean the law of attraction is bunk? Or does it mean that I've just been fortunate? You know, I think it's difficult to say. I think it's pretty difficult to figure that out. You know. But it's something I should probably work on. I mean, it's really, you know, it's so true that there's just not really a point to think about. Well, I've kind of argued this back and forth though. A lot of negative things are still worth keeping in mind. You know, I do still believe that because it's optimism that makes people ignorant, makes people think that things are better than they are. And then you have like a lot of people now, and I've talked about this before, where they're like, oh, you know, life's what you make it, it's about your attitude. And people say those things, but systemically speaking, that isn't true. And we've seen a system that sometimes rewards people's attitude, but then other times, you know, you have to fight. You have to fight for things. And I think it's almost like a postmodern kind of conclusion where, like, I don't think we realize how much we had to fight to get to where we're at this point in human development and human civilization. It was not just like positive manifesting. I think it works. I think manifesting and these ideas like law of attraction, they work and they seem plausible in a developed civilized society because for the most part, developed and civilized societies, they work exceptionally well. So that's kind of the main thing to keep in mind, is that we don't really witness or see, you know, like what would the law of attraction do if you're living in the dark ages, right? And then how did we get from there to now? It wasn't through positive thinking. It was through having to fight for rights. It was through people that did extremely risky and ambitious things. I guess you could make the argument that there was a lot of positive energy and intent, you know, for example, when they came to America. But at the same time, I think there was a fight in that. That was not all positive, you know, and so I think it gets complicated, and I think again a lot of these things hold up now that humanity is at where it's at. But when you start to look at kind of like the pre-existing conditions, you start to question that, or you start to question like what's fair about it. And so that's why I think it's incredibly important to keep an accurate outlook. But that being said, I do feel like I've been quite pessimistic recently. And another thing I want to disclose and what I want to try to change is there's a difference between being a pessimist and somebody who worries a lot. Okay? Like worrying about things. Well, no, worry can be good though. So I guess it all because right, if you're worried about something and it keeps you out of danger, that's pretty valid. You know what I mean? So I guess it really does depend, right? Like, I don't know. I guess so. But I'm just thinking about that now, you know? It's like definitely something to think about. Sorry, I was just thinking and I kind of lost what I was talking about. So it's kind of a shame because I liked what I was talking about there, but, you know, I lost it. Yeah, I guess we're talking, yeah, we're talking about how to balance like worry and positive thinking. What is the most optimized? Because I know it's like it's so easy, and when I was younger, I used to just think like, oh well, being optimistic, that's better, positive better, stay away from negative. Like that's how I used to think. I just don't know that that is true, and I've just explained why. But even when it comes to worry, I think being worried about certain things is kind of important. But I just think I'm getting to the point in life where, I mean, how much can you really worry? Like, I even think that what I've thought about recently, where it's like nobody's worried. So when you're talking about, like, I just heard the UN is expecting there to be water crises very soon because of how much water is being used and more countries are polluting more and more. And so that's definitely something people should be really worried about, and yet nobody is, right? So it's, should I be worried? Probably. But at the same time, I can't really do anything about it. I can spread awareness for it, but it's like I'm not going to gain anything by just chronically worrying about it. I think that is like the key is to figure out how to stay composed about things, because I guess that's what I lack is composure. Maybe that makes sense. Maybe it's that I have a lot of potential to be aware of like so many different things, but the problem is that awareness comes at a loss of composure. You know, which is understandable. I've been young in this world, relatively speaking, and it's a lot to be aware of so much when you're relatively young. It can be painful. And so, yeah. But I think the potential is probably there if I can just kind of disconnect from it. Because that's really the thing, right? I mean, what am I going to do? I mean, I can anticipate that water is going to become, clean drinking water is going to become a sought after luxury. I can anticipate it, but what is that really going to do? Like, it's not really going to do that. Like, I'm going to be like stressed, worried, but like, I just don't think I'm really going to be able to do anything about it. I can do my best to sound off the alarms, I can talk to people about it, but in terms of my own emotional state, I basically want to have like two minds. The mind that's worried, but he keeps track of all that stuff, and then the other mind is my day-to-day mind, my mind that is having to exist within a broken world and deal with a lot of these problems. So there's two minds at work here, you know? That's what I think the deal is. There's two minds. And that would be like a good solution to my problem because, I can keep the awareness, but my day-to-day life for my soul and for my flesh needs to be calm. It needs to be happy. It needs to be hopeful. It's all important things, but the problem is when you're too hopeful, you can really be blind to actually correcting anything, right? That's kind of the problem. If you're just really confident about things, you're probably not going to address or really be keyed into a lot of the problems that are going on. So these are kind of my intentions. Now, I don't know if we'll check back in a week. We'll see what has actually transpired or the longevity of these attitudes, but I just think it's time for more action in my life. It's not, the way things have been is not, it's just not a good situation. Have to learn to be calm, you know? So we have to start trying to put some more intention with things. I think some of the initial ideas of removing fillers from my speech, it's incredibly important. I don't like it. I mean, even in my own conversation with anybody, it's just, I really want perfect, precise speech. And saying filler words. I mean, I don't think I'm too bad with it, although I'm detecting these I means, and that's kind of, that to me, that's kind of seeming like a filler word. And I also tend to say so, like I was about to say so. It gets difficult though because I wonder what's grammatically correct. Like I wonder if when you're speaking, you know, no, see, is the or is the so, like, is that a actual bridge between words or concepts? Are you supposed to kind of indicate? You're probably not. It's likely that the wording should just be continuous. It shouldn't have like a so or a but. Like I don't think so. I guess I should kind of verify and vet that information, before I start putting in effort to changing my speaking patterns and cadence and stuff for optimization. It's time, though. See, there's the It's time. It's something that I have been attempting to do for a while, but I just get tired. That's like an example. So it's been something that I've been trying to do for a while, but I get tired. Like, could I just say it's been something I've been trying to do? No, I think in that case it's fine, right? That sounded smooth. It's when it's added as something unnecessary that I think it's a problem, when you're just saying things and there's some kind of filler. I don't usually get criticized for using filler, but it's definitely the first thing that's got to go when you're talking about trying to have a precise tongue. It's very important to try to be speaking with intentionality. I don't know how long it's going to last. I try to work on these things and it gets pretty difficult to, like, I get very tired and maybe it becomes too much all at once. I'm not entirely sure. I have to try to focus though, and it's a focus on using less words, period. Trying to focus more on the quality as opposed to the quantity. Because I can do fine and great with quantity if I want to have a high volume of words. That is just not a difficult execution. We made it that far at this point. It's really about reaching the quality to match that. And if, there's a. And if there's a way to really punch with both quality and quantity, I feel that that would be a very impressive thing. That's really what's going to affect people. People have high standards. I did just catch that one too. By the way, don't think I didn't. People have high standards. They will, and I've noticed this in my life in particular, they will find any little way to criticize you. I think that that's happened to me on purpose. That there's some kind of intentionality with character building and development. I don't think it's a mystery that people are treated how they are treated. Now, that belief can be somewhat controversial, so I don't really want to believe it to its full logical conclusion, but for the sake of argument in this moment, let's just keep it on the less crazy end of things, because I know then you have some people who they have a really bad life, and then I'm just saying, oh, well, everything happens for like, it just sounds kind of wrong, but the way I'm trying to utilize the belief and analyze it in this case is beneficial and it's logically coherent. That's why I'm going to move forward with it, but I do think of that. That crosses my mind. It crosses my mind. Yeah, this can be kind of a dangerous thing to apply to every person in every situation. I think it does a lot, though, to shed some light on things. You know, yeah, is not good. It does a lot to shed light on things. Many people get angry about being mistreated by their parents, by their family. And what if it's true that, you know, er, what if it's true that there's a reason that you were told a certain thing, or in my case, people have been critical of me? It's because I need to be held to a high standard. Why else would some people be critical of me and others not? What I mean to say is they've been critical in holding me to a high standard, and other people are not held to the same standard. Well, it's frustrating at the time because I can see that it's not fair clearly, but in the long term, it's something that I admire because it's pushed me to be better. It's pushed me to be better, even if it was painful when the person or people were mean to me. In the long run, it just broadens my scope. It just makes things make a lot more sense. I've learned a lot through other people being hard on me, and that's kind of always what I've wanted. So I guess there's a bit of confliction because I still do want to have friends, and I want to have friends who are nice to me, but at the same time, I also would like to have I also can appreciate the fact that my mom was always hard on me. It's like, it's this one thing she always would do. I have these weird things with words. The way I structure I am, sometimes I put I, a few words, blah blah, am, and it doesn't make any sense. And for some reason, it's something I've done for as long as I can remember, and I'm still noticing that I do it from time to time in my texting. I frequently, instead of referring to me and another person as them and I say me and them. And my mom would always correct me about that. Even though I don't know that she did necessarily for my other siblings. So it's little patterns like that. And it kind of bothered me at first, but now, because I have this later in life, I'm wanting a higher language standard for myself. I'm craving to become a better and more perfect speaker. I appreciate what was given to me. I appreciate it. Alright, well, we've been wanting to end things earlier, so I'm going to wrap it up now. It's been schla, and now it's time to buy schla. So, see you schla.